everybody, and welcome to another show. How's everybody doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Simon. Oh, look, Scott's already starting off hot here.
Yes,
Yes,
nice and hot.
Scott, it has been discussed several times, and unfortunately, it's going to keep being discussed. I still get questions. I know Simon still gets questions. People are still confused. There's other YouTubers that are putting out wrong information, and we want to just keep pushing it, as much as we can. That's not what we're going to talk about the whole show, of course. It's just we always like to start with some kind of topic and then let it go from there. So that's kind of where we're at. And but anyway, Simon, how have you been? We missed last week.
Oh, I'm doing good right now. I'm really enjoying Detroit, and as we wait for people to come on in, my friends are cooking up some hamburgers, which are going to be so good once they're done. I can already smell them
Awesome.
onion.
Well, awesome.
What about you? How's Vegas?
Oh yeah, so I'm in Vegas right now, and I met a friend out here, and we're having a lot of fun. And I work during the day because I still, I have a full time job, so I do stuff on the computer. I'm a computer programmer, so I work during the day and then have some fun at night. So it's great. It's really hot here right now, but it's hot in Texas right now too. So I didn't escape it. I brought it with me, I guess.
Dang, I I can't believe what I can't believe is that I'm going to Vegas next week, and I was like this close to meeting you in Vegas.
No, no,
Nice rise.
yeah, yeah. We'll definitely have a time probably later this year in the fall. I know there's a lot of other people that want to meet up, and we'll definitely do that. And I'll announce my plans ahead of time so everybody knows I'm here. We can meet up and do some stuff. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, that would be great. And for today's subject, we're talking about. Oh yeah, for today's subject, we're talking about how we're talking about if a casino can if a casino can actually tighten the machine during a busy time of year or during a certain time of year. That's definitely a rumor that has been going around and has been propagated by some other YouTubers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long and short answer to it. Technically, they can change the payback percentage when they want to. It's an arduous process. The gaming commission has to be involved. There's a lot of paperwork, so they can, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they do. And they certainly don't do it in a rapid pace. It's not something they do weekly or on the weekend or anything like that. It's possible that they could do it seasonally, but it's just not something that they really need to do because slot machines are already making them a ton of money. And it's just going to cost them a lot of money to continually do that over and over and over again. And, have the commission come in. I'm sure there's a charge for that. There's a lot of stuff involved with changing the payback percentage. They're already making a lot of money, so it's not something that they really need to do. And so I want to make sure that people understand that that it's technically possible they could, but it's not something that they do often. And the one thing that is very very important that everyone should understand is that they cannot change it while you are actively playing it. If there are active credits in the machine, it is physically not possible from the manufacturers of the machine to make any changes to the game programming. So if there are credits in the machine, and I don't have my machines to show you, but if there are credits in the machine, it completely locks out any game changes, payback percentage, limits, anything like that until the credits are removed. So you should feel rest assured that when you're sitting down playing a game, they're not in there monkeying around. And sometimes, I mean, I can understand why you feel that way because maybe you're playing for a long time and you're just losing and losing and losing, and then suddenly you just start winning. Your brain says, well, maybe they turned the switch in the back so I would start winning, so I wouldn't storm out of here angry. No, they didn't do that. It's the cycle of the slot machine. They're programmed to do that. There's going to be losses. There's going to be wins. It's going to come and go. That's just how they're built and how they're programmed. And they don't have to monkey with anything. It just handles itself. And that's why they love slot machines because they're hands off with stuff like that. So, and TC
Yes.
says everyone knows there's a switch up in the office that the casino manager can flip. Now, here's the funny thing, and I know where this started out, and I know you're joking, but there was article in a popular newspaper around 2006, and it's still online and you can read it. And um, somebody interviewed a casino manager for a casino that was about to open, and they said they were talking about payback percentages and all this stuff, and he said, "Oh, it's great. Now I can, from my computer in my office, I can flip a switch and change the payback percentage." And so everybody reads that article and they assume that's what actually happened. In the end, if you really dig into the article and what came after that, he has the capability of doing it, but that doesn't mean that he can. He has to still have permission to do it. He has to fill out the paperwork. The credits can't be in the machine. It needs to be idle for 4 minutes. All of these things are still there to protect you, so that they're not in there just as a manager in a back room flipping a switch. So it's easy to read an article like that and just assume that's what that's the way it is everywhere, but it's not.
Yes, and like for these articles, it can be so easy to misread them because like what the press can do sometimes is actually make it seem that the casino can really monkey around. And I know I'm kind of gone ramble a little bit here, but there's like some people who say, but wait, can't the casino set the machines facing the way that people enter and exit the casino to a higher payout percentage, and then the casino budgets for the end rolls of the machines to be set at a higher payback. So it's enticing to watch someone win more, and you sit down next to them, but the machine is set lower. That's actually something that I did here from a video.
Yeah, and the thing is that you have no way of knowing that if it's true or not. You would have to know what the machines are set to, and somebody would have to tell you that. The casino's not going to reveal that to you, and you're not going to be able to test a machine to figure out if it is true or not. Because payback percentages, as we've talked about over and over and over again on these streams, payback percentages take a long time to reach that theoretical setting, and you cannot determine what it's set to based on your just localized play for an hour or 2 hours or even a period of weeks. It takes a very, very long time for that payback percentage to balance out. And so you're just not going to notice the payback percentage between one machine and the next. And so you can't, you don't, anybody who says that they know that the machines at the end of the aisle have a higher payback percentage, they don't know. There's no way they can know unless they work for the casino and they have seen the settings. And if that's the case, then they are breaching a lot of contracts by revealing that information. That's just something that casinos keep very close, and so you just don't know.
Yes, and I also want to add that sometimes that theory is also part of people's bias, can be part of biases because the end machines, they can be easier to see. And as you like look at the index, sometimes it's easier to see if somebody is winning a bonus on the very end machine rather than in the middle of the machine, because middle of the row, because other people can block out the middle machines. And you also like, pass by the end machines more frequently as you walk around the casino, and you can make, oh my gosh, that machine has another bonus again. Oh my gosh, that machine has another bonus again. And in reality, a middle machine could be bonusing like crazy, but you may not notice it.
Yeah, it's it's so difficult because you have to remember that the cycle of the machine is within millions of spins before you can notice a pattern, and no human is going to sit through a machine and play it that long to notice a pattern. And so there will be swings. There will be times where it seems like the machines are just paying out like crazy for no reason at all. Let's say you had a comment up about the 6 a.m. theory. Well, go back 6 a.m. every single day and see if it keeps happening at 6 a.m. I'm willing to bet that's not the case. It just seems you noticed it because you were there and you noticed all the machines were paying out around that time. It's not because they were scheduled to do that. That was just the cycle that they were in, and that's what the result was. And there will be times where a machine is not going to pay, and there's going to be a time where machines do pay. But the thing is you don't know when that's going to happen. It could happen rapidly, like you can have a lot of wins back to back, or you can have a lot of losses back to back. It's random in the sense that you can't really determine when it's going to happen. Guys, you cannot manipulate slot machines. That's really like, if we were to sum up all of these live shows that we've done, the summary would be you cannot, as a patron of the casino, manipulate the slot machine. You just can't do it. There's no way to do it. And that's the reason they're so popular in casinos, and casinos love them because they can't be manipulated like a dealer or, card counting or anything like that. So just keep that in mind, as you talk about that.
Yes, and also, hey, Vic T Slots, Carry the Scene in Vegas, and Todd B. Just address this answer the question that we did address. Can the casinos manipulate paybacks at the end of the month to meet quotas?
They don't need to. They they're already making plenty of money, and you can see the return to player statistics that they report to the gaming commission. So you can see that they don't need to make quotas. It's all handled automatically for them by having a slot machine on the floor. They don't need to raise or lower, and because it takes a lifetime of the machine to realize that payback percentage, it's not something that they're going to do on a monthly basis to meet any kind of quotas. They purchase the machine, they set the payback percentage, and they put it on the floor, and then they just forget about it. And they know that if the payback percentage is set to 92%, over the long time of that machine being on the floor, they're going to earn 8% of that, whatever the take is of that machine. And that's good enough for them, and multiply that by the thousands of machines that they have. It's a lot of money. And something that they don't have to employ dealers. They don't have to employ, shift bosses, pit bosses, managers, and all this kind of stuff that you have to do with table games. They can set it and know that it's going to make them money over the long term. There's going to be swings. Some months they may not make money on that machine, and other months they'll make a lot of money off that machine. But in the end, after a while of that machine being on the floor, they will make that money that is guaranteed by that payback percentage.
That is some really good information to know, and it's very good to know that the machine is solid and that it cannot be tampered with. There's definitely times where people say, but they're opening the door, they're opening the machine, and they're setting a knob. However, like what you said earlier, it requires the casino to act. It actually requires a lot of paperwork to do so. And TC is asking, is the random number generator single property specific, or can, for example, the MGM or Caesar control all the Las Vegas casinos with a single random number generator?
One thing to remember is the random number generator is on the machine. It's not something that's programmed. The RNG is constantly going. And whenever you hit the spin button, it stops and spits out a number. I invite you guys to, if you go to my channel at Home Slots Fun and look at the last video that I did last week, I explained this process the best that I possibly could. And I did a little simulation where you can see how a slot machine random number generator works and how it picks from the pay table and all that stuff. So it's too much to explain right here. If you want to see it, go watch that. But RNGs are not, something that is set. It is on the machine. It's just constantly cycling through numbers. What is set is the payback percentage. And it is casino property specific. So even though MGM Grand owns, I don't know, I can't even keep track anymore, 12 properties in Las Vegas, maybe more. Each casino is run separately, so they will set the payback percentages on each machine separately. So each is a business in itself. It's kind of like if you think about a McDonald's and then all of the, you have McDonald's corporate, and then you have all the actual McDonald's restaurants that are individually owned and operated. It's the same type of thing. They have policies. Maybe MGM Grand says you can't set any machine lower than 87%. They may have something like that. I don't know. But if they did say that, then each of the properties would have to abide by that, but then they could set it whatever they wanted to after that. You're muted, Simon.
Yes, and also I just find it just like, I also find it like, oh shoot, darn it, I'm forgetting my thought, but I'm just finding it really interesting just how complex yet simple the casino industry is.
Yeah, like I said in a recent video of mine, I really wish that you could walk into a casino and ask for a manual you know, which show me which top machines and, all of the different payback percentages of each of the machines, which are the volatile machines, which are the low volatile machines, which have the best bonuses. It'd be nice to walk into a casino and have that information, but you don't. And so what happens is people look for answers, right? They go on Google, they go on YouTube, they're looking for answers. And and then they start struggling because there's so many conflicting informations. Everybody is, jumping over each other about trying to explain something. And so it gets very nauseating to figure out what the actual answer is. And I understand that. And that's why we try to do what we do here, with this live stream and the stuff on my channel, is to try to just explain it the way that is best understood by you, from the experience that I have personally as being a slot technician and owning and repairing slot machines. Um, but it can be difficult sometimes, and I wish there were a manual that I can point somebody to that says, no, it's guaranteed 100% using your player's card does not affect the outcome of your slot machine play. I wish I could send that person somewhere to a definitive source, but it doesn't exist. And so you just have to rely on what people are saying and make your own judgment. And it's going to be like that for a while. And that's just the way the casino industry is. Like you said, Simon, this is shroud of secrecy, and it's hard to
There
break
is.
through that. It really is.
And what I find crazy is like when I find when you say what you said about secrecy, I find it ironic that the casino industry wants to be so secret if they want to encourage people to keep playing and keep coming. For me, if I wanted people to come back to my business, let's say I have let's say I was manufacturing results, and I would actually have an entire ingredient in this that I could share with people. And I'd also talk about where my ingredients come from, because people I feel they like to go to businesses and places that didn't have clear answers to. And also Toby is asking, am I foolish to believe that machines are titled with free play versus real money?
Yeah, I'm not going to call you a fool, but yeah, that's simply not true. It's impossible. It, the player's card cannot um, control anything within the CPU box itself. The only thing it can do is push credits to the machine's accounting. That's all it can do. And so, even though it may seem like that, I guarantee you it's not true. It's just not true. It's not possible.
That is really good to hear, and thank you, Goldie. And also, Kwadzu is bringing up. I'm glad to hear that casinos do not need to cheat. I've heard of casinos that rig machines to pay certain politicians them, probably before the con regulations.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, everything that we talk about here is with casinos that are regulated by some kind of commission, whether tribal or state run. And that's the reason those things exist, is to protect you from stuff like that. They're on your side more than they are the casino side, believe me. And so the casinos don't want to get in trouble. They comply 100% with whatever the commission says, because you get blacklisted by the commission or you get fined and it gets picked up by the news, your casino is in trouble. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Somebody brought up an example about a casino, I believe it was in Washington or somewhere, where that happened. And it's not good for business. So yeah, they don't need to cheat, believe me. They're already cheating by putting slot machines everywhere. Those are the money makers, and they take more table games out and put more slot machines in, and that's how they're cheating.
Yep.
So
Yep, definitely Cheeto that way. And thank you, Gaudi. Happy Heart is asking, how does Indian casinos work?
So they work very similar to non-tribal or non-Indian casinos. The only difference is that with a state-run, let's say a state-run casino, or a casino that is run within a state, let's say Nevada, there is a state gaming commission that oversees all the casinos within Nevada. For Indian casinos, it is usually a tribal commission, and it can exist on the same property as the casino, which is questionable at best. But they have their own commission. But the biggest difference is that in casinos typically do not release return to player statistics. And so you don't really know what payback percentage floor that they have. Like, say, in Las Vegas, it may be 75%. I don't know for sure. Um, they can go even lower than that if they want to, and you don't know what that is. And so I always, if you have to choose between an Indian casino and a non-Indian casino, let's say there's two within driving distance, go to the non-Indian one just because you know what the return to player statistics are in most cases. And you know that they're probably have higher payback percentage, but you don't know that for sure. Um, but there's nothing wrong with gambling at an Indian-based casino. There isn't. They still have to set the payback percentages to something to attract people. If they do it too low, people won't come back. If they do it too high, they'll lose money. So they're going to find some way in the middle, just like all the other casinos do that are about abiding by the commission. So,
And also another thing to point out is that on the slot machine, you can sometimes the manufacturer does set a limit of how low you can set a payout percentage because the manufacturer does not want to get a bad reputation either. So like I know on my WMS Blue Bolt slot machine, and on my WS games, the lowest you can go is 83%.
yeah, but believe it or not, Simon, if you change the jurisdiction chips in your machine, it can go even lower. It's just based on the wherever the CPU was originally, which jurisdiction it was under. So even if it was in the Indian casino, it's possible that it was even lower than that, because of the jurisdiction chip that is in the machine. So it's definitely possible. It's not a good idea though. It's not a good idea to get set it too low.
Yep, because
Hey, Michelle, if you have better luck at Indian casinos, do it. I mean, I'm not telling you not to play at them. I typically would prefer playing at a machine or at a casino that is, publicly transparent. All the data is out there for you to look at if you want to. It just makes me feel more comfortable if I were to gamble in that scenario. So
yes, and also hey 5K, hey Michelle, I can't wait to see you soon. So like when I find crazy, it's like shoot darn it, I'm not sure why, but tonight I keep losing my train of thoughts.
that's okay. There was a question earlier that I wanted to talk about. Jane, you said I can stay for free at MGM property with 2K free play. Where should I stay at? That's up to you. Every property is different. Personally, I like New York, and Aria. I think they're both fantastic properties. They have really good places to eat. Um, it's kind of what I would do if this is your first time to Vegas, and if you're getting that much free play, I doubt it's your first time to Vegas. Um, stay someplace, but then walk to all the other properties while you're here, to get a feel for where you might want to stay next time. Um, I like to bounce around when I come out here with my friend. We stay at New York. We've stayed at Aria. We've stayed at Bellagio. We've stayed at MGM Grand. We just kind of bounce around because we'll get tired of the food at one place and switch to another place. So it's completely up to you. There's so much to offer here.
Definitely, and one of my favorite things about Vegas, hands on, is the food. What I really like to do when I'm in Vegas is I just like to go, as I just explore the strip, explore the strip, and I also really enjoy, like seeing the interiors of each property. There's something to say, and one of my favorite properties, it has to be the Bellagio.
Yeah, it's beautiful in the Bellagio. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a good property. There's a lot of people though. If you don't like crowds, you don't want to be in the Bellagio. It's very packed. It's always busy every time we walk through there.
Yes, and also I do know that I'm going back to like, and also Todd B just said with the corn gas prices, I wish that casinos would give me more cash cards ready to lure me in.
They should be doing that.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, that would get anybody in to pay for your gas to and from.
Yep.
They may not pay it from, they'll pay it to.
Yes.
But yeah, they should take advantage of it. Maybe you should work in casino marketing, Todd. Sound like your
Definitely.
perfect job there.
Yes, and also, and I'm kind of going around, but this is definitely. Oh, can I share something else from my ramblings?
Go for it.
All right, so my next part of the rambling is speaking of like the subject that we were talking about is I did hear this like theory that casinos crank down the payout percentages and winnings during the months of October and November. Sometimes when certain DJs are playing, the machine odds of winning are less. There's less machines getting bonuses. That is something I actually did hear that. But my thoughts on that is people. This is my thought. People are distracted by the DJ and are not hitting the spin button as frequently. It would be a huge hassle, like you said, to approve a percentage change every time a certain DJ plays. As I mentioned earlier, some months are slow and therefore there are less players inside the casino. When less people are playing, the machines don't appear to frequently as the bonus as frequently. Then here it is. Think of it this way: 2 people get the bonus. Let's say that 2 people are playing. Both people get the bonus approximately every 30 minutes. Meanwhile, if there's 200 people, a person would get a bonus approximately every 6 minutes. The more people who are playing, the more it appears that machines are giving out bonuses and wins. That is an illusion I definitely fell for before.
Yeah, it's it's all perception, right? It's when you walk through a casino and you see people playing, you know, you get caught up in the moment. Either you watch their bonus round and then you think you can sit down and do the same thing, or nobody's getting a bonus, so these machines must be on a losing cycle. I better avoid those. I mean, it's all about just sitting down and pushing the button at the right time, guys. It's all it really is. And whether you visually inspect a machine before or after, um, somebody's winning a bunch of bonuses on a machine, so you can't wait for them to get off so you can get on it. You may not have the same result as they have. You don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's not because you were sitting there watching them get a bunch of bonuses, or that it's October, or that it's Sunday before 4 a.m. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with the timing of you pushing that button. So but I understand that. I mean, it's even when I play my machines at home and I know this stuff, it's the core of everything that I do. I understand how these slot machines work. I will make a spin and get a jackpot, and then I will tell myself I'm not going to play this machine anymore because it's not going to pay out anytime soon. And that's completely wrong. But it's just something tells your brain that oh, this machine has already paid out, or it's been winning a lot. I should probably get off of it, or it's not paying out anything. I should probably get off of it. But those are just, I mean, it's just perception. Those are not programmed into the machines specifically. It's just how you approach it and how you spin the button, and at that time, your fate is sealed, and that's it. So, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Simon. I've heard that too, but I just gotta keep pushing it forward that there's nothing you can do to manipulate the machine by picking a certain time or certain month out of the year or anything, and be able to deduce anything about a slot machine and when it's the best time to play. The things that are important are the things that we have talked about on this show before, like volatility. That is important. That is a decision making process for you, but it's not manipulation by any means. It's not manipulation. So, anyway, I rambled a little bit after your ramble, so I'll turn it over back to you, Simon. You can give us the next thing that you got.
Thanks, Psych. I actually really enjoy our ramblings, and I really enjoy
Okay.
hearing what you got to say. So, what I found interesting. Hey, Mikey the Fish, thank you, and thank you, Gordy, for sharing home slots fun links. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And also, what I find really interesting. 1 second, cuckoo clock's going off. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so cuckoo clock is done. So, what I find interesting from what you were saying is, speaking of assumptions, I was at the MGM Grand. I saw a bank of quick hits. And there's nobody playing them, so my brain immediately assumed that they're all dead. They're all so dead. Nothing gonna come out of them tonight. But lo and behold, my friend sat down. I decided to sit down and try a few spins. Poof, we got some bonuses. So that's definitely a perception. That was definitely a huge perception shift when I thought that bank of machines was dead, but it was because nobody was playing them.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not because they were idle for a certain amount of time or anything like that. You just happen to push that button at the right time. It seems so easy to explain this, but it's again, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, it's difficult when there is not a source that you can just go to, that you can point everybody to, that comes up with these myths and you know methods and all this kind of stuff. And so you have to rely on people like us. I mean, whether we're doing our good job or not, it's up to you to decide. But it's it's a very simple thing, but it's very complicated because of how the industry is set up and how it's easy for your brain to get into pattern recognition mode, thinking there's got to be some science to this. There's got to be a reason why these quick hits are just not hitting, or they're hitting a lot of bonuses. There has to be some reason. Maybe it's because nobody was playing them, unfortunately, that's just not the case. You know, they're essentially pretty dumb machines. They have a random number generator and they have a pay table, and that's it. That's about as far as you can go with it.
Yes, and also Todd is asking, can you elaborate more on what you mean by the machine cycle?
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about it, but again, I'm not trying to push my channel. I spent a lot of time on that video, so I wanted you guys to see it. It's about how the payback percentages are set and also how they stay within the threshold, the balancing essentially. And then what I did is since I'm a software developer, I built a program that simulates how a slot machine works by picking a random number and then looking it up on the pay table to decide what that win is. And I explain in that video what the cycles actually mean. Cycles are not what you think, where it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's not a consistent wave. Essentially, it's not. It pays, and then that means it needs to take. It doesn't essentially work that way. It's just an average over a long period of time. So you might have little. It's more like a choppy wave than just a up and down like this. And so cycles is a very common thing that people talk about because they feel like machines, get in this mode where they're just pay, and then after that mode is done, it's take, and that's just not how they're set up. It may appear that way sometimes, but that's not how they're set up or programmed. So I tried to explain that in that video with some actual examples to look at, because it's hard to just explain, right here. That's why I decided to build that simulation, because I think it makes more sense to me, and hopefully it makes sense to you. So watch that. If you have any questions still, put a comment on that video, and I'll be happy to reply further. So thanks, Todd.
Yes, and also there's been like so many times where I'm playing a slot machine, and the next thing you know, as I'm playing it, I get bonus and I'm like, all right, done. This machine's dead. This machine's written code on me. That is like definitely a false perception of like, that's definitely how my brain thinks that there's an actual pattern and cycle going. It's like, I think that if I win for a few spins, then the machine will go dead on me, and then I have to move. And sometimes, like, if I sit down at a cold machine, I think that I do think there's like times I sit down at a cold machine, and I think like what people like to call a cold machine, meaning that it doesn't really pay out, hasn't really paid me for like a while. So I just get like frustrated, fed up. Sometimes I give that spin button one last whack, and it gives a line hit.
Yeah, the whole hot and cold. I'm here to tell you that all machines are hot. Temperature hot.
Yes.
Not payout hot. They're just hot machines.
Yep. Sometimes the CPU temperature gets to 104 degrees.
Yep. Oh, I've got them way hotter than that. Believe me.
I have a question.
Depends on what I'm doing. If I have the air conditioner going or not.
When you're playing them or doing stuff to them, how do you get the machine to get really hot?
Well, I'm actually having an overheating problem with my Lord of the Rings right now. LED lights behind the reels will turn off after about 2 minutes of the machine being on. And I noticed that if I remove the monitor and let it sit there for a minute, they come back on. So I think it's heat related. And I
Yes.
noticed that, those monitors, they're called transmissive monitors, where you can kind of see through to the reels, but then they can put something on the outside. Um, that thing gets hot to the touch, where I have to get gloves on to take it out, because those there's just not a lot of cooling back there, and I'm gonna have to add some cooling to the Lord of the Rings because it just is getting too hot, and there's nothing I can really do about it. I think there probably was a fan in there, and it's not there anymore. So I need to install one and put it in there so it can cool down, so I can have the lights on the reels again because
Yes.
it's just not fun without that. So yeah,
I
they get hot and they start to shut down. It's just like a computer. It's the
yes.
same thing. If a computer gets too hot, or you didn't blow the dust out of the fan and the fan can't exhaust that heat, it's going to shut itself down and you're
Yes.
going to start having problems. It's the same thing with slot machines.
Is that is that right? Is that right? The machine shuts the reels off to cool itself down.
Yeah, I think that's what happens because after a while they'll just start to turn on and then they'll turn back off.
Yes.
I don't know for sure that's the issue, but it feels like it's heat
Mm.
related because I've replaced everything else. I've replaced the reels themselves. I've replaced the controller board. The only other thing I can think of is its heat, and they
Yes.
are hot to the touch. The actual light
Ouch.
LED boards, and when those burn out, when LED boards or LEDs burn out, you can't replace them. You have to
Oof.
replace the entire board, and so there's probably some programming in there to watch for temperatures and shut it off. And unfortunately, the diagnostics on a WW or a WMS BB2 isn't specific enough to tell the temperature of the actual, lights behind the reels. So I don't know for sure. I'm just gonna have to keep guessing until I figure out what it is. So
Yes. Most likely it's the heat. There was this one time, I think it was on my blue board, that I got my blue board so nice and so hot and toasty. It was crystal forest. That my blue board, you could still play it, but it would not do the real animations anymore. The reels just wouldn't it was a video screen. I was playing Crystal Forest and it wouldn't do like the little real animations. So the blue board was literally throttling the CPU so that it wouldn't get too hot.
yeah, yeah, there is CPU throttling and GPU throttling that happens on there if it gets too hot. Yep.
And also, I know I'm kind of going really off topic. I know this train has really gone off to a different station by now, but I'm like wondering, have you ever overheated a machine to the point where it got shut down?
Um, not not due to heat. I mean, I could probably simulate that, but I don't want to fry anything.
Good
The
call.
parts are so difficult to find. Um, but you could disable the fan on the CPU or something, and it would overheat and shut down. But um, I haven't had a full cabinet shut down based off of heat before. But I have noticed the same things where the video reels start getting really slow because it's throttling down the speed to keep it cooler. That's that that's happened, but not a full machine shutdown due to heat. I haven't seen that yet.
Yes, I've not seen that either, but I don't ever want to see that. And also, I know one last thing before we go to Todd's question is I'm like wondering, have you ever tried booting a Blueboard 3 game in your Blueboard 2 yet?
I haven't. I need to video that because I know you've
Yes,
asked me many times. Keep reminding me, Simon, so I'll
I
I'll do
will.
that.
I'll
But
keep reminding you till the cows come home.
okay, I'll do a YouTube short because it won't take long.
Thanks. I Todd B is saying, when you say random number generator, is it normally a string of ones and zeros or actual digits used?
I actually don't know. I believe it's probably binary, which is the 0 or 1. But those can be translated into numbers. And I wasn't gonna try to explain that during my simulation because people would really lose it. Um, it's probably zeros and ones, a binary string, but I don't know for sure. It's too tough to tell. I wish I could see what the RNG values were, but nobody can see that.
Same here. I'm just wishing that there was a way who actually de-encrypt the slot machine code. And I really wish that with the slot machine, that you actually be able to see what it does. And Maximum says, always play with a player's card unless you're playing at lower betting level. Then you normally play your player's card does not change nothing.
That's correct. And by the way, you are right about playing at lower betting level. There is, and I've read about this many times. If you consistently play with your player's card at a certain level, let's say you always play $3 to $5 a spin, and then you decide to go to a machine and play 80 cents. It's actually hurting your comps by doing that. It's a formula, and I don't know what the formula is, but um, you should stay away from doing that as much as you can because it messes with what your potential comps can be. So yeah, that is true. You're the first person to say that in a while, but I have read that before. And yeah, players' cards do not change anything. Thank you. You're right. They do not.
That is so good. That good to know. I was not aware that if you change your bet up too much on a player's card, it would really mess with your comps. That is why I don't think I've been getting any comps at some of the casinos because sometimes because I'm not sure if it's because of the formula, but I only bet 7 cents a spin.
Yeah, that'll probably do it. Because there's something called It's theoretical play. And what it basically means, it's a way for a casino host to decide what is your potential to gamble with, based on what you have done in the past. And that's how they base comps like free play and rooms and such, is based on what you have bet in the past and what they can kind of extrapolate that to what you will potentially bet in the future. Because they don't really know what your plans are in the future. And so they have to award you comps based on that and so if you think that you're at this level and settle, and then suddenly you jump down and start using your card down here, on 7 cent bets, it's pushing your down, because it's making you look like you're not going to bet as much in the future. So that's it, and it's a formula, but that's essentially what it is, and why it makes a difference. So, yeah, if you're just gonna like you're waiting to go to the bathroom or something, and you just want to throw $1 in a machine, leave your player's card out if that's not what you typically gamble with. So because it'll mess up your
All right, that is really good to know. And also, 1 second, Sylvia says, was not aware of your channel. Looking forward to seeing more of your channel, Mark.
Hey, thanks, Sylvia. We'd love to have you over there. We have a lot of stuff there, so thank you.
Also, hey, James, nice to see you. I can't wait to see you at Keynote Nation on July 8th. And also, thanks for letting us know about the lounge change that we're meeting at the Coco Lounge, not the Serrano Lounge. Thank you so much for letting us know. And hey, Lucky Linda! And also, Mutando, to answer your question from the other night, I find it so crazy that we were literally right next to each other. I really wish that we were able to meet when I was in Denmark. And Mutando is asking, have questions for you, Simon. Do you play slots in Copenhagen? Unfortunately not. I cannot figure out the currency very easily. And I just really actually wish I tried. But then every time I tried getting to the casino, I either got rained out, my teacher would call for class, or we'd have a surprise studio tour.
It's like, what are you doing at casino? You're supposed to be over here getting educated.
Yep. Educational.
Yeah.
And what you really said about the player's card is such valuable information because now I'm realizing why I may not be getting many comps because I fluctuate my bets between 40 cents to 7 cents.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is to always use your player's card, but what we're trying to say is, um, to not have an impact on your future comps, you need to maintain a certain betting style because the formula takes that into account to figure out what that is, what your theoretical bet amount is, and that's how casino hosts or whatever are able to determine what those comps are going to be. So Yep.
Yes, and also, can I add? I know I'm going. Also, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about before I go on to another ramble?
Go for it. I love your
All right.
rambles, and then I'll
No,
ramble after it probably.
ID ramble number 2. This might be the last one for the night since we're coming. My last ramble for the night because we're coming up to an hour. I did hear from that, I believe, the same video that says other people's winning at the casino is relevant when it comes to choosing a machine, and the casino can choose when it makes people win. And if the casino is packed and nobody is winning, then you can't win. Which is like, and here's my thought. Well, that's bleep, bleep. Alright, so that's bleep. And and there are actually some days that people are not hitting the button at the right time, or that they have the machine volume loud. I've actually been to like some casinos that like the Alcatraz and like the Silverton in Las Vegas, where people keep the volume very quiet, so you just really can't hear the machines very easily. So there's one time that I sat down at the old Buffalo machine at the Grand Z Casino, and everything seemed so quiet. Nobody around me appeared to be winning much, so I thought about moving. But since I had a live stream, I decided to play on that Buffalo. Lo and behold, a few spins in, I got $170 off of certain bets. And slot machines, yes, they're definitely set up for you to lose over the long term. So the odds of seeing everyone lose everything is high. And yes, by luck, everyone appears to be winning at sometimes. No, and a really big thing for me is it's easier to remember when people are winning than losing. No external factors can alter a machine's internal computer. Even I cannot mess around with my slot machine programs. There are no timers or knobs on the CPU that say on this day and at 3 p.m. paid with people more that I can see inside my machines. I looked around, no luck. Heck, I can't even mess with the programming itself since it's encrypted for security measures.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was a long ramble. Let me take a take each part here. Yeah, I mean, there isn't such a thing as scheduling when a slot machine is going to pay out or not. I know it's really hard to believe. I get people constantly pushing back on that statement because they've heard other people say they can do that or whatever. Every machine that I've ever had come through the shop, and we're up to say 50 or so, not one of them has a way to schedule anything. All you can do is set a percentage and leave it at that. That's all you can do. You can't have it decide what to do based on the player's card. You can't have it decide what to do based on how much play it's gotten that day. You can't have it decide what to do based on a certain time of day, season, month, performance, anything like that. And everything that I just listed there are things people say are ways you can manipulate a slot machine, and it's just simply not true. You cannot do that. They are set by a payback percentage, and over the long run, they will make it to that percentage. There will be losses, and there will be wins, and that's just how slot machines work. So you should really, when we talk about playing slot machines on this, the series that we've done, we want you, and I think this is right, Simon, correct me if I'm wrong. What we want you to do is to not get caught up in all of these myths, and it looks like she doesn't agree. She has to refresh. We don't want you to get caught up in all of these myths and fixated on payback percentage and losing cycles and winning cycles and all that. What we want you to do is to go in with a budget and a plan and know that slot machines will take your money over the long run. So you want to, you know, budget your money, and when you go in and play a slot machine, do it because you enjoy that machine. Maybe it's a low volatile machine, which we've told you is probably a good thing to start with. Play something that's fun and exciting, and know when to get up and leave. And when to get up and leave is when your budget's going downhill, not because the machine is about to go into a losing cycle. You don't know that. So what's important is just to remember that all these myths are just targeting you to make you feel like you need to make some kind of decision with how you play slot machines, and it's not something that you have control over because you cannot manipulate a machine. It'll either going to pay out or it's not going to pay out, and that's simply how they work.
Yes, and also Todd B is asking, when I play the link games and see higher balls come out consistently, I think the machine is ready to pay more.
It's an illusion. They build that purposely, especially when you need 6 and 5 drop, and then there's like 2 major balls, and it's an illusion to make you think that you almost got it. And they've been building that into slot machines for a very, very long time. The double diamond, and then a blank, and the double diamond is one off, and you think, oh man, I almost had it. You almost had that the same way as you almost had 3 blanks across the pay reel or the pay line. It's just it's the psychology and how they trick you into keep playing. Because if they can show you those big balls coming out with big values, you think that a big win is around the corner and you're going to keep playing. But I think you probably know what happens, at least based on what I've seen on Lightning Link games, is when you do get the 6, it's all like 15s and 30s and 20s, like really low amounts. And that's just, it's the nature of how it works. It's a volatile machine too, by the way. So it's very difficult to get wins, but it can be beneficial when you do get the wins. So.
Yes, and there's times when I'm playing Dragon Link. Nowadays it's very rare and far and few between, because I do like to do $20 challenges, meaning that I only play $20 for an hour. But like when I used to play more Dragon Link, there's times where I can see where I get like 1 massive orbs, and sometimes I get like 5 massive orbs, and it's like so tempting to keep feeding that machine 20s, even though I know that getting a bonus with the massive orbs could actually be like another million or bazillion spins. You just don't know.
Yep.
And also to go on with Salvio's question, Mark, why isn't most slot machine maintenance done during the graveyard shift? It seems like in some Indian casinos will interrupt to do maintenance when I'm on a hot machine.
Probably because they're having trouble finding slot technicians to work the graveyard shift. That'd be my first guess. The second thing is it's probably a bad. I mean, a casino should not interrupt your play unless there is a severe enough issue that it needs to be rectified immediately. I can't really think of a lot of examples of that, but sometimes it's when there is a tilt on the machine. For example, you're playing it and it runs out of paper. They need to immediately go in there and fill the paper. Or it could be that the machine had some kind of malfunction. I've seen these a lot. The cash box, there's the little trigger on the cash box to detect when it's in. That gets bumped. They might have to open the machine to put that back in. The bill validators go through problems. I've replaced at least out of the 50 machines, probably 10 of them I've had to replace the bill validators to, because those things just are notoriously bad or notorious for going bad. So they might have to replace that because all those things result in a tilt, which means that you cannot further play the machine until it's rectified. So that's when they should jump in and mess with it. But if they're trying to do routine maintenance, which is like replacing bulbs or checking the accounting records or anything like that while you're actively playing a machine, that's just rude. And I don't think that's something that they should do. They should not interrupt you unless it's a serious issue that they need to take care of immediately. So that's just my personal opinion. If I ran a slot tech organization, but that would be my number one rule: is don't mess with the patron if he's on a machine. If he or she is on a machine, just don't touch him unless it's absolutely necessary. So.
Yep, so true, and I do have to agree. There's like people. I'm actually in like a slot machine technician group, and one of the most common questions that a slot machine technician gets is whenever they open a machine, there's people who come up and say, ma'am, so are you fixing the machine to win?
Yeah. Say, absolutely, I'm putting it into winning mode now. No,
That'd be funny.
no, absolutely not. They're they have to do routine things. I mean, it's a constant thing. I mean, these machines are built to be on 100% of the time. They don't get rebooted. And some of these newer games coming out, that's a bad problem because there's a lot of overheating and they need to be rebooted on occasion, software updates and all that kind of stuff. But as a general rule, when they're opening a machine, it's to check on certain things, cache boxes, bill validators. If there's bulbs out, the buttons aren't working. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong on a machine. You can just walk through and see problems. So it's just the way it is.
Yes, and also for the newer games, I feel like the machines are getting larger in size, and that the monitors are getting larger. So there's like so much more heat generated. And I've also noticed that the casinos are like ice boxes to keep the machines nice and cool. And I'm also like wondering, like from like your perspective, how have you been noticing that there's been a lot more overheating going on in newer machines?
I've just by walking the floor and watching people playing the new machines, you can tell that like you said on yours, the graphics start getting really choppy. The frames per second drops to below, say, 15 when it should be at 60. That's an indication that there's overheating going on. And so I see that a lot on the newer machines, just walking around watching people play, which I do, because I like to see the new machines coming out and all that. So I suspect there's a lot of rebooting going on because of that. But
Yes,
yeah, I
and I
hate
do
when the
know.
cleaning lady empties the ashtrays or wipes around me when I'm in a bonus. Yeah, give her a 5 or a $10 tip because I feel sorry for those people, seeing the mess that they have to clean up from us awful humans. I mean, oof.
Yes, and there was like the other night I was at the casino, and there was like food scraps and candy bar wraps all over the base of the Dragon Links. It was like so like saddening. And hey, Miss Bling thing. Also, like going on with like what you're saying with like these machines is there's like this like a very a very candidate. I'm forgetting how to pronounce, but EVIRE a very candidate that detects say that sometimes it takes 25 minutes to boot because the CPU keeps getting so hot that that it just keeps crashing.
Yep. Yeah, it can certainly happen.
Yes, and Jane is asking, is there a chance of winning more with the volume way up?
Simon, you need to ask Raja this because he probably laughs every time he sees this. But no, he started that as a joke, and this is proof that I mean people can say things, and they can just be. I mean, people will run with them, but no, it doesn't. Volume makes absolutely no
Not at
impact
all.
on the gameplay at all. Nope.
Yeah, but it's definitely a very fun superstition to have. That's actually one of my favorite superstitions I like to say during a live stream is say, all right, let's clean that baby up.
Yep, that's right.
And also, oh, thank you so much, Hazel Sots, for the $2 super chat. Woo! Welcome back, Simon. Thank you so much. And also, Hazel Sots says, Vegas Cash or Crash wants to do an interview with you and Awesome Gaming Channel. Definitely let him know that's definitely big. Yes, we'd like to do an interview with y'all.
You want to take one more question?
All right, let's take one last question. So good to see you, Miss Bling Thing. And also like, oh shoot, darn it. And Quadu says, I have once had the volume on full blast. A lady reached over and toned it down.
What is she doing in a casino?
Yep.
It's one of the loudest places you can be.
It is.
Get earplugs. Yeah, it is rude. I can't imagine someone doing that. I'd slap their hand. What are you doing?
All right, one last question. The cuckoo clock's going off. 9 o'clock.
That's right.
Alright, so who is the alright, so thank you, Mutranda. Thank you, Mutranda. Happy Pride to you too. Let's see if there's like one more question for Home Slots Fun. And Horizon Slots, to set up an interview, you can email me at itsaslotmachine@gmail.com, no spaces, or you can message me on my Facebook, Simon Cleef. My Facebook is in the description. That's like how we can set up. That's how you can set up an interview. And also, hey Steve, and B Fly said security literally made me tone it down once.
Wow. That's a slot technician's problem. Then they can go in there and set. By the way, when slot techs, or the way the machines are set up, is that you set a base, you set a base volume, and then let's say it's plus 3 decibels. You can then allow the player to go, up from that up to say 5, but they can't go even higher than that. So there's like a base machine setting for the volume, and then they have the player can have granular control to go a little bit above or below that. But they don't have the full range that a slot tech could have, to set. So I would blame the slot tech for setting it too high to begin with if it's a problem for security. That's ridiculous, though.
I didn't know that on the WMS Blueboard cabinet it has both speakers. So sometimes, like if you go in the menu and you set that slot machine up, you set that slot machine volume up to level 12, your house is shaking. It's like a little earthquake.
Yeah, and you're going to blow your speakers out too, by the way. So don't do that.
Have you ever blown out a Blueboard speakers before?
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings is blown out. The subwoofer is blown. Yeah. I got to replace that too, and that requires me to take the entire top piece off. And so that's why I haven't done it yet, because E is for effort.
Yep, lots of effort. I actually don't know how to dissect the slot machine speaker quite yet, but I may have to learn one day.
Yeah. Well, I'll do a video once I actually get to doing that at some point.
And also, Horizon Slots, yes, you can be a mod in that interview chat. All by SC says, yes, it was bad.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up, Simon. We'll talk next week. Thank you guys for everything, and we always appreciate your time and sharing this video as well, because we're trying to get the good word out. Of course, that's important to us, and we hope to see you guys again on the next video. So, Simon, take it easy, and I guess we'll see you next Monday.
All right, see you next Monday. Thank you so much for coming here. I can't wait to see everybody again. And also, absolute huge shout out to Mark for being here every week and spreading the word. You're very welcome, Mary Jane.
My pleasure.
Have a great night, everybody. Bye bye.